Um, charter revisions will be an issue the next few months, or the next more than a few months, as we get ready to elect a new commission. What do you see as some of the most important revisions that need to be made to the charter in order to benefit citizens and city control?
Obviously, and it is and it isn't a charter review commission's responsibility because it'll be on the ballot in November. I think districting is an important issue. I think that for a variety of reasons, I think it's time for Detroit to go back to a district award system. And I think that's very important. I think that I'm certain that the role and the relationship between the council and the administration, as well as residents of the city of Detroit, needs to be looked at and needs to be changed. Council, I believe, needs more authority, and especially if we go to the district system, you can't just have districts there with council persons representing this district with no authority at all, which I'm not suggesting that you have, say, 9 different mayors, but I think there has to be more of authority for council members to require accountability from the administration, so, from the district standpoint. So I think that needs to be looked at. And quite frankly, I think we need to look at the restructuring of government from the charter position. One of the things that I think is important is that the council play some role in the appointment in mayoral appointments. I'm not certain what the structure would be, but I liken it to how we do it in the federal government. You know, the United States Senate plays an advice and consent role with cabinet level positions for the appointments for the president. One of the things that would do, it would, at a minimum, it would properly vet candidates publicly, so that we know what we're getting when a mayor proposes an appointment. So we would know the relationships with the mayor and everybody else. And I think those are important things that all citizens want to know, as opposed to just having this blind eye to everything. I'm not certain how that will work out, but I think that's one of the issues that the Charter Commission needs to look at in terms of how the mayor and the city council get together on these mayoral appointments. And I guess the last thing is, and I'm not certain how this will fit into the charter, because what I'm going to talk about might be a temporary measure, but if we anticipate that at some point in time the mayor is going to get full control of the Detroit public school system, my concern is that there will be no check and balance. And so the city council needs to be in a position at a minimum to provide some type of check and balance against the sole authority of the mayor's office to run the DPS. Otherwise, I think that would be that would cause a lot of concern about whether or not citizens have voice, whether or not parents have voice, and what condition the city will be in. And I would hope that somehow or another we can anticipate in the charter that when things like that happen, city council has some say-so in terms of what goes on after that turnover happens. At this point, no. And the reason being is this. There are other jurisdictions that have tried that. And the results are, at best, murky. That is shown that it has a benefit, I think, to some extent in terms of being able to ferret out corruption and clean up the system. But the results have not shown a clear benefit to student progress. And so if that does happen, I think there has to be a lot more public input in terms of how that happens, and not just let 1 or 2 persons just come up with the system automatically. And I don't want it to be used as an opportunity to do some other things that whether you, for instance, whether you support charter schools or not, a lot of folks out there don't support charter schools. And I think the discussion has to be had about whether or not one person can just make the decisions about whether or not charter schools can come here or not. Or quite frankly, maybe we do all want charter schools. But the public, parents, teachers, residents, taxpayers, everybody should have some say-so in whether or not what happens with the school system once one person is put in charge of it. And it just kind of scares me when you say just one person or one administration. That just kind of scares me a little bit. I was at a meeting this morning, downtown networking group over at Fishbones, and that question came up. And I think that every incentive that we can provide for small business should go to existing small businesses in the city of Detroit first. So if we look at tax breaks, tax incentives, or anything like that measure, I think that we ought to be able to say, listen, we're the existing businesses, and let's provide those incentives first. One of the things I think we need to look at in terms of formulating a strategic plan for the city of Detroit is to look at when revenues increase for the city of Detroit, if that ever happens, that business taxes decrease. I think that the business permitting process, the business licensing process, if a small business wants to locate here or expand, it has to be more streamlined. And if you're already in the system, it should cost you less to come back to get a new permit or something like that than it would if you're a startup. And we need to provide some incentives or some appreciation for the folks who are already here and make that process a lot more streamlined. And we've got to become technology friendly. You know, the turnaround time for new business applications or whatever the case you want to be is just too long. And I think technology would allow us to do that almost instantaneously. And so our strategic plan has to be, how can we get the technology to make those types of things happen? And the cost of doing business in the small business community has to match the same types of incentives that we provide for the big guys who want to come in and bring major corporate, businesses here, and they get all kinds of tax incentives, and well, we got to provide those exact same rates for small business because small business runs this economy nationwide. I think they provide a little over 50% of all of the jobs in the United States, and without small businesses, this economy is in worse condition than it is. Yeah, my current projects, one's called Brush Park Village North, and it's a townhouse condominium project. It's located in Brush Park and John R., right at the corner of Erskine. And around the corner on Mack, between John R. and Brush, is another project called The Mack at Brush Park. And the first project is new construction. We built the first 6 units in one building. And all told, it's going to be 18 units on that site. The other project, The Mack at Brush Park, is a rehab of a historic old mansion in Brush Park. We've subdivided it into 4 different condominiums, and we are finishing up on that project right now. Well, yeah, there would be, and my commitment to the city of Detroit as well as to my business partners is that I will move away from the business. When elected, I will move away from the business and not work in that capacity at all while I'm on council. And any conflicts that would have come before the council, of course, the law requires me to disclose any relationships that I would have, because I've done business with a lot of people, from contractors to my own business partners, so I have to disclose that and recuse myself in most circumstances. So that's the requirement that I would have to comply with. I have no problem with that at all.
Would you still?
I probably would, and would put my interest in a blind trust. Excuse me, Nat Flying around or something. We put in a blind trust, much like Mr. Bing has done with his development interest. He's put in a blind trust where he has nothing to do with it in terms of management or the direction that project goes. The Endeavor Real Estate Development Company. Actually, Real Estate Development Group. I'm sorry.